Yeah, assessment is very true.
Anyone please respond in the chat box, please. Let me know the syllabus. Anyone please share the syllabus in the chat box. Sir, please share the syllabus. Sir, I cannot hear your voice, please. Please share the syllabus. Okay, before going to get the syllabus, let us start the session. So let us start with the basic Java program. So whenever we are going to get the syllabus, I will start the syllabus and I will explain each and every concept in detail with an example. So first, before going to see that, let us see how to write a small Java program. So generally, if you want to write any Java program, the code has to be written inside a class. So first, let us see what is meant by a class and what class has to contain. Let us consider here we are having a class. To represent any class, we have to use a keyword called as class. So by using a keyword called as class, we can create a class. So first, let us see the example for this. So real-time example, if I am going to take a fruit, fruit is fruit can be considered as one class. Fruit can be considered as one class. So fruit is going to have some properties. For example, for fruit there is a shape, for fruit there is a color, for fruit there is a taste, and so on. So if you want to get all these properties in real time, we have to create an object. That is, for example, one object of type fruit is mango, another type is orange, another type is grapes, and so on. So here we can consider these as an objects, and here fruit is a class. So mainly in our Java is object oriented programming language. So if you want to perform anything in Java, those things has to be done by objects. So main thing we require is objects. If we are talking about an object, compulsory to create that object, we require a class. So initially we have to understand what is a class and in general what has to be present inside a class. That is, inside a class mainly we are going to have data and methods. So see, let us consider this is a class and in this class I am having some data and some methods. If you want to access these data and methods, generally we are going to create an object. How to create an object? So we have to write a class name and a reference variable, and here we have to use a new keyword which creates a memory for an object, and we have to write the class name and parenthesis. Generally it is going to be considered as one constructor. It is going to be considered as one constructor. So what is going to be happen means, so whenever I am going to write this statement in our program, internally memory is going to be created. For which one? So this new is going to be create a memory of which type? A type. So A contains what? Data and methods. So here the same data which is present in class A will be available here. Same data and methods. And who is going to refer this? Here we have given some name called as X. So that X is going to refer this object. That means now, if you want to access anything from this object, we have to use a reference called as X. That means, for example, the data I have taken as in this. Let us consider I am going to take data as AB and methods as, for example, M1. So in this X, what we are going to have? Two variables A and B. As the values I have not given, default values will be take. Let us consider we are going to take default values and one method M1 is there. So to access these members of an object, we are going to use X dot A or X dot B or X dot M1. In this way, we are going to call use the members of a class, or we can call the members of a class. So once again, briefly, I am going to explain. That is, Java is object-oriented programming language. First point. Next, if you want to use the concept of object-oriented programming, the main thing we should have is object. So object plays major role in your object-oriented programming language. Next, to create an object, we require a class. That means without a class, there is no object. For example, I am going to say some names like mango, orange, and grapes. So, what are all these? If I ask you what are all these, you are going to tell it's a class name. That means class name is important to create an object. If there is an object, compulsory there should be a class. If there is a class, we can create an object for that particular class. So we can call these objects as instances also. Classes can also be called as instances. The technical name for your object is instance. And the definition for your object is instance of a, sorry. So this object can be thought as a instance of a class. Object is nothing but instance of a class. So this is an object. So compulsory we require objects for accessing the members of a class. In general, we are going to have the static methods also. To access the static methods or static members, we have to use a class name. So why I have discussed this one means, if you want to write any program, compulsory we have to write that code inside a class. So that I have discussed about this class now. So this is about a class. Now let us see a small program, because if you want to write any small program, you should know how what is the basic structure to write that particular program. So as you know that the program, your Java program is going to be start at a certain point. That point is nothing but public static void main. So here I am going to show you two programs, and in one program I will take a single class, in another program I will take two or more classes to explain the program. So first case, I am going to write a program to find out the given number is even or odd, for example. So I require only one class. Let us consider I am going to take class name as A, and here I want to write the logic only within the same class, so that I have to write main method here. How main method will be present? It is having some syntax where it has to contain public, next static keyword has to be there, and void and main. So as a parameter, we are going to have string array args. String array args. So this is the starting point. Okay. So as I want to find out the even or odd, whether the given number is even or odd. For example, I am going to take number directly. Later, I will discuss about how to read the values from the keyboard. So int, I am going to take n value as, for example, 30. And if I want to check this number, whether it is even or odd, I am going to perform n percentile to whether it is equal to 0 or not. If it is equal to 0, then I can say that that particular number is even number. So I'm going to print it. So I'm going to print it as a even number, for example, or even. And next, if it is not, I'm going to write else case, and I'm going to print it as a system.out.println, and I'm going to say it as an odd. So this is a small program. Here the program is not important, but how the program is going to start its execution, let us see now. So observe carefully here. If you are going to write this program, generally we are going to store this program as a.java. So to execute, to compile this, I am going to use a command called as java c space a.java. And finally, to execute this, I am going to write java space a. So whenever you are going to execute this one by writing java.a, internally, main thread is going to be created and it starts executing. Listen carefully. Main thread is going to be created by your JVM. And what is the task of this main thread is, whatever the class we are passing here while executing, it will go to the, it is going to load that particular class, and it will check the main method. Main thread is going to check whether the main method is present in this class file or not. So already it is present here. So already the main method is present here. So what happens? Internally, our main method will execute this one. So the starting point of main thread is, it will check for public, static, void main, and wherever this particular method is written, directly the controls jump to here, and it starts executing from this statement. And after entering into this, it will complete entire process from open bracket to closed bracket, and your program is going to be terminated. That means if you are having a small logic like this, you can write a only single class, and you can write a main method, and inside that main method you can write a logic like this. Okay, this is a basic program. Next, if you are going to see about, for example, I want to take multiple classes. Let us take as a second program, I will take only two classes here. So in this, I am going to take two methods. So before that, I will take some data here. So I'm taking some int a, comma b, comma c, for example, and I'm going to take void add method, and it is going to have two parameters, for example, int a and int b. Now observe carefully here. I am going to write here, just I will take, as I have already see here, just I will take c equal to a dot b, sorry, a plus b. The meaning of this one is nothing but, so if you are going to confuse about this, just I will change the names here. I will take it as x and I will take it as y. Later we will discuss about why I have changed these names. So c equal to, I will write what, x plus y. Now this method is completed. In the same way, I want to perform subtraction also. So I am going to take some int x comma int y, and here I will take some d also, for example. So I am going to write d equal to x minus y in this case. So observe carefully here. Now this is my program where I want to use these methods in future. Whatever you want to use in your program, first those methods has to be defined in a class. So that in my program, I require addition and subtraction of two numbers. So that I'm going to use a class called as a, otherwise, for example, arithmetic operators, for example. So that I'm going to take this class arithmetic, and in this I'm going to perform two methods. So whenever you want these two methods in your program, I have to create an object of type arithmetic, and I will call this, that is, for example, I'm going to take main class named as, for example, main. I will take the class name as also main. So in this, as you know that public static void main has to be here, public static void main, and here we are going to have string array args. As it is a starting point, we have to write like this. Next, here I am going to take what I want to do here. I want to execute add and sub. I want to add two numbers, and I want to subtract two numbers, for example. So that where these two methods are present inside a arithmetic class. So I have to create an object of type arithmetic. So arithmetic, I am going to write it as k, for example, object reference is k, and I have to write new arithmetic. So if you write so, what happens here? One object will be created, and in that object, whatever the uh, data and whatever the methods are available here will be available for this object also. So the reference is k here, and as an initial I have not taken this. What we are going to have? A equal to 0, B equal to 0. Anyway, I have not used this A and B, so that I am not going to consider this. So just I will, okay, anyways. So I will not consider this A and B, and here I am going to take this one as C and this one as D. Initially, as there are no values for that, I am going to take C equal to 0 and D equal to 0, and I am having two methods. One is add method, another one is subtract method. So now if you want to perform, as here we are having some parameters, here I will take int comma int, and here also I'm going to have int comma int. So in this way, after executing this statement, internally one object will be created, and the data that is present in that class is available, and the methods that are available in that class are also going to be available. Now see, now what I want to execute this add method. So just what I have to do, k dot add, where those are present inside a k. So k dot add, and I have to pass two parameters. So I'm going to pass 10 comma 20. Now what happens? The control goes to here, and in this x I'm going to get 10, and in this y I'm going to get 20, and it's going to perform x plus y. That is, I'm going to get the 30, and I'm going to place in where c. Just print it here. System.out.println, just print c. So I'm going to get output as what? 30. In the same way, if I want to subtract, just I'm going to call it as what? K dot subtract. So here I'm going to take two values, 30 and 20. Now what happens? This 30 goes to here and 20 goes to y. And here what is going to be happen? X minus y. That is 30 minus 20. The d value will be what? 10. If you want to see this onto your console, I have to take system.out.println and just print the value of d. So here what you have to observe, here my first one is my class is there, arithmetic class, where I am going to have my methods to be executed. And to execute these methods, it is recommended to go to another class and create a one more class, and in that please create a main method, and whatever the operations you want to call it from here. So now observe here, sir, I have four or five classes. Create all four or five classes, and in each and every class, please place the corresponding methods only. That is, for example, if I am talking about arithmetic operations, please place only add, subtract, multiply, and division here. If I am going to talk any other operations, for example, relative operations, that is relay. We are having different types of operations. So in that, if you want to perform any other relational operators, for example, so write a separate class for that and write the related methods in that class. In the same way, whatever the number of classes you want to write, you can write it there. Okay, and whenever you want to call a method of a particular class, you have to create an object of that particular class, and you can call any method of that particular class. Now see in this example, here, what is K? K is what? Arithmetic type. And it is pointing to which object? It is pointing to new arithmetic. This is arithmetic object. So that here K is referring to an object and it is arithmetic type. Now, what K can do? It is pointing to what? One object where it is having some data and methods. So, this K can access what? K can access C, K can access D, K can access add, K can access subtract. So how these all are present in this particular object? Because here I am going to create an object. In this statement, I am going to create an object and I am going to give the reference for that. So that K is pointing to an arithmetic object so that I can access the members of arithmetic class and I can refer them by using a K. So these are basic programs, and let us start some programs, some important concepts. So first I will talk about inheritance. So inheritance is nothing but a process of acquiring the properties from one class to another class. That is nothing but acquiring, so acquiring the properties of one class by another class. By another class, this concept is nothing but what? Inheritance. So how it is going to be achieved, I will tell you clearly. By another class or classes, there is no problem, we will see it later. So here let us take one small example. I am going to take class A here. Inside this I am going to take two methods. Let us consider void m1 and void m2. As it is for explanation, I am not going to take any body inside your methods. Just I'm going to take a skeleton of the class or structure of the class here. Now see here, class A is present here. Inside this class, I am having two methods. One is M1 method, another one is M2 method. So here if you observe, if let us consider if these two methods is required by any other class. Generally, what that class has to do, again, it has to write its own class. And again, what it has to do, the same methods, again, it has to write. Again, it has to take M1 and it has to write the definition. Again, it has to take M2 and it has to take the definition. But if I am going to use the concept of inheritance, then all these properties will also be available for B. So to implement the concept of inheritance in Java, we are going to have a keyword called as extends. So B extends A. That means what? B is going to get the properties of A. That means by default, this M1 and M2 will be available for class B. And next, if you are going to have any other properties for class B, please define them here. There is no problem. Now I'm going to write what? Void 3. Sorry, void M3 for example. So now if you observe this case here, there are two classes are there. One is class A, another one is class B. Class A contains two methods and class B is going to extend A, that extends A. That means this class B is going to get the properties of A. So what are the properties of class A here? M1 and M2. So these two are given for, or sorry, these two are available for B also now. Then what about your B? In B class, not only M1 and M2. If you want to write any other methods, we can write it. So here I have taken M3. That is A. For A, I am having two methods, M1 and M2. In the same case, for B, what is going to be happen? I am having M1, M2, which are acquired by the class A, and there is one more method for class B, that is nothing but M3. Sir, now I want to access these methods. What I have to do? Generally create one more class, class C. I use public static void main as you have seen in previous example. So public static void main. So I am going to tell you practically because it will be helpful in your examinations. So right now here what I want to do, just I want to show that I want to access how to access the members of A and how to access members of B. Generally, what we have to do to access the members of class A, I have to create an object of A. To access the members of class B, I have to create a object of class B. But here, observe now, just I will create an object of only class B, only class B. Now tell me within for class B, what are the methods we are having? Three methods are there. Those are M1, M2 and M3. So to access those three methods directly, I can use a reference called as X. So X dot M1, X dot M2 and X dot M3. So the program is completed. In this program, I have demonstrated about the concept of what inheritance is. So inheritance is nothing but acquiring the properties of one class by another class. So this is inheritance. Let us see different types of inheritances. So mainly if you observe, there are mainly, that means there are many inheritances are there, but in our according to the syllabus mainly we are going to discuss only five. First one is single inheritance or simple inheritance. Single or simple inheritance. Next one, second one, so multiple inheritance is there. We are having the concept of multiple inheritance. And next one, we are having multi-level, multi-level inheritance. And next we are having hierarchical inheritance, hierarchical inheritance. And lastly, we can consider hybrid inheritance. So generally these these are going to be seen in our academics. So I have written only this. If you want to consider, we can also consider cyclic inheritance also, but which is not in general discussed. So first I will explain what is meant by this concept. So first concept, single or simple inheritance. That means what? As you have seen in the name that single inheritance is nothing but if a class is going to acquire the properties of another class. That is, in this example, you can observe that B is acquiring, this can be a child class, this is nothing but a we can say the parent class or super class. So here what happens? B is extending A. So that direction has to be in this way. Don't think that the arrow has to be in this way. Okay. So arrow has to be in upward direction only. So here what happens? B is going to acquire the properties of A, or we can say that B extends A. So if you observe here, how many classes are acquiring how many classes properties? Only one class is there. It is acquiring other class properties. So this concept is nothing but simple or single inheritance. So this is first case, single inheritance. Next, coming to, I will show you the examples later. So coming to multiple inheritance, if there are multiple classes are there, for example, A and B is there, and if we consider n number of classes, there is no problem. But in this example, I am going to show you two classes only. So A and B I have taken, and there is a C is there. Now observe here what you can observe in this case. In this case, what I have done means I have shown you some example where A and B are two classes, and from those two classes, C is acquiring the property. That means A and B are how many classes? Is it a single class? No. Those are multiple classes. So C is trying to acquire the properties of multiple classes. So this can be considered as multiple inheritance. What is that? Multiple inheritance. As this is not possible in Java, why it is not possible in Java, I will explain you in next example. Okay. So now I'm going to talk about multi-level. So in the name it says what? There are multi-levels are there, multiple levels are there. So first one I'm going to take A here. Next I'm going to take B. Next I'm going to take C for example and D here. Now easily you can understand. Here I have taken four classes. Here D is getting the properties from C and C is getting the properties from B and B is getting the properties from A. So this is nothing but multi-level hierarchy. So if you see this one, observe carefully here. So A's properties will be given for B. Now tell me B is going to contain what? B is going to have the properties of A and also properties of B. Now tell me what about C? C is only extending the properties of B. That means already B is having A's properties. Now C is going to get whose properties? B's properties directly. But indirectly it is also getting what? A's properties also. Because before the C is extending B, B already extends A. Now coming to this one. Now who is extending C? D is extending C. So if D is going to extend C, before D is extending C. C already extends what? B. Before that, B already extends A. That means finally I can say that C is having A class properties, B class properties, and also C class properties. If I just try D extend C, all the properties of ABC class will be available for D. So this is the concept of multi-level. Coming to a hierarchical. Hierarchical is, we can say that inversion of this multiple, that is nothing but there will be only one super class is there and there will be multiple child classes are there for the same class. That is nothing but, if you see this example, B is acquiring the properties of A, C is acquiring the properties of A, and D is also acquiring the properties of A. So this can be considered as hierarchical. That is nothing but one parent class is acquiring the properties of, sorry, multiple childs are acquiring the properties of single parent. So in this example, single parent is nothing but A. Only that particular parent, many children are going to acquire the properties. So we can consider this one as hierarchical inheritance. Okay. Finally, hybrid. So I don't want to draw the concept of hybrid. It is combination of two or more inheritance inheritance types. So that this is nothing but what? Hybrid inheritance. So that, so here what I have to explain, already I have explained all the cases, but this one is very important. So I have to explain in detail about this multiple inheritance because it is one of the important question where they will ask that why multiple inheritance is not available in Java or why it is not possible in Java. So we have to write a small program to explain this. So first, before going to explain the concept of multiple inheritance, I will explain about single or simple. Next, I will explain multi-level, and next I will explain about hierarchical. So hybrid is nothing but what? It is nothing but a combination of uh, two or more inheritances. Okay, just here itself I will explain. Right now, observe carefully here. So I'm going to take simple inheritance, just a small example. Right now, see, I'm going to take one class A and write it down just for a simple case. If you want to write a full program, just write like this void M1 and write a small, what is that, print statements here, system.out.println and just print that. This is method 1, there is no problem. As it is, as we are writing a program for explaining the concept. If you want to write a program to explain a logic, the logic has to be present there. But in I am writing this program for what? To explain a concept. So just I can write a simple statements here. There is no problem. So void M2 and here also just I will write system.out.println. So please don't write these shortcuts in your examinations. That is, instead of writing public static void main, you will write what? PSVM. Or instead of writing this system.out.println, you are going to write SOP. Please don't write those type of things. Please write down the full forms in your examinations. Right now, observe. So what you can observe here, I have taken one class which contains two methods. One method name is what? M1 and second method name is what? M2. So here now I have to show you that it is a single inheritance or simple inheritance. That means this class properties has to be taken by any other class. So here I am going to take one more class that is named as class B and I have to show that this class B is going to extend the properties of A. So I am going to write extends A. The meaning of this line is what? B is acquiring the properties of A. That means all the properties of A are now available for class B. Okay, right. So now if class B wants any other methods, it can write on its own. There is no problem. Here I will write just void M3 and here I am going to print the same thing here system.out.println and please write it down like method 3 or any other thing what you like. Right now completed. My task is completed. In this example, I have shown you a single inheritance where B is a class which acquires the properties of only single class that is nothing but A. Now listen carefully. So anyway, the concept of single inheritance is completed. But to write a complete program, for every program, it is recommended to write a class main. That means not only main, you can write any name, but in general, we will write it as a main because we are going to take a main method inside this class. And the program is going to be started from this class only. So here what we have to write, public static void main. So just I will create only the object of class B. I don't want to create class A properties because all the properties of class A will be available for all the properties of class A will be available for class B. Now observe here, just I will create some B space x equal to new B and just I will call x dot M1 and x dot M2 and x dot M3. Completed. Task is completed. So this is a simple inheritance or we can say that single inheritance program. Just I have given a basic and easy program to understand. Okay. So this is about what? A singular simple in simple thing, simple inheritance. Now next I will explain about hierarchical inheritance. That is what I, as multiple inheritance is not possible. First I will explain about hierarchical, next multi-level, and later I will explain about why multiple inheritance is not possible, and if I want to make it as possible in Java, how to do so. Okay, right. So I will not erase all these things. Just I will change the names here. Hierarchical is nothing but what? There will be only one superclass will be there. Sorry, there will be only one superclass will be there. And how many child classes will be there? Multiple will be there. So now if you see this example, so there is only one superclass named as A, and for that I have taken one child class, and also I will take one more child class here. Class C extends A. The meaning of this one, I am not going to write anything here. Now observe, this can be considered as example of. This can be considered as what? Example of hierarchical. Reason, this is only the parent. This is only the parent for both B and C. That means what? This is hierarchical. Hierarchical inheritance. Acquiring the properties of same parent class by multiple children can be considered as hierarchical. Now, I want to discuss about the concept of that is multi-level inheritance. So the same diagram, I'm not going to change anything in the so same example I will consider. Just I will change these things. 1 minute. Right. Just I will change this one. Observe carefully here. So for this I will draw the diagram also. What is the parent class here? If you observe, the parent class is what? A here. Okay. And who acquired the properties of A? Who acquired the properties of A means B. So that next level is what? B. Next level is B. Now I have to show you one more level, that is C. So if I want to write C here, then what I have to write? C extends B. If you see this example, you can observe what? As class A properties is acquired by class B, and class B properties is acquired by class C. So I can consider this one as a multi-level inheritance. Multi-level inheritance. So this is about, I have discussed about three types of inheritances. One is single or simple inheritance, and second one is hierarchical inheritance, and third one is multi-level inheritance. Now I will explain one more, which one is very important and not possible in Java by using the classes, that is multiple inheritance. So clearly I will write entire thing in this document only. Observe carefully, I am going to take two classes. One is A, another one is B, and there is only one child class. So now tell me what is the meaning of this? C is acquiring the properties from multiple classes. So just I will take here multiple classes and I will show you that how it is not possible in Java and what is the problem if I am going to take this. So observe, class A, I am going to take only one or two methods here. So just I will take a structure. I'm not going to write any statements here. Now here I am going to write void M2. The meaning of this one is, here I am going to have a class called as class A, and I am having two methods from this, and here I will take class B, and here also observe this one carefully. I will take void M1, and just I am going to take it as empty, and void M3. So observe carefully here. Now what happens here? I am having two classes, and in class A I am having void M1, and in void M1 and void M2, and in class B I am going to have two methods. One is M1 and another one is M3. Now observe carefully, very important. If I am going to say that class C extends class C extends A comma B. So as for your clear understanding, here I am going to write system dot out dot println. I want to print A here. Okay. In the same way, in this case, I want to write system dot out dot println. Just I want to print B to identify this one. Okay. Now observe carefully here. Just in this case, I will take only one method, that is void M4. So I'm going to take void M4 here. So if you observe this, this can be treated as multiple inheritance, as there are multiple classes. That is, A and B are two classes, and C is acquiring the properties of multiple classes. If you want to see one more, you can also take one more class here, and you can show in this way. Okay, this is what multiple inheritance. Okay. So now see here, what is the problem here? So I will take main class here so that you will get clearly about this. So I'm going to take main class and public static void main, as you know that. So public static void main and string array args. Okay. Now see here. Now this is important one. Now I am going to create object of C, that is C equal to new C, for example. Observe carefully. After going to execute this statement, what happens? Internally, one object will be created. Which type of object it is? C object, and it is referred by X. Okay. So now observe carefully. C is getting whose properties? A's properties and B's properties here. What is A's properties? M1. I'm going to write it as what? M1, where it prints what? A. Just I'm going to write it here, A. And one more method is there, that is nothing but M2. So you can observe this here. So A's properties I have taken into C, and now consider this one. B's properties also there. Here also there is one more method, M1. Observe now. It is going to print what? B. And next one, M3 is there. Now come back to the C. C is going to have one more method, that is what? M4. So after creating the object, all these methods are available for the object, and it is referred by X. Now listen carefully, just I am going to call x dot m2. If you see this one, if you see this object, how many m2s are there? There is only one m2. So there is no problem. Your x dot m2 statement will be executed successfully. But now see x dot m1. Now, in this case, what happens? So now observe carefully here. Here, this is one M1 and this is one more M1. The question is, if I call x dot M1, will first M1 is going to execute, or second M1 is going to execute? So Java is not having any type of, for example, it is not having, it will not show any partiality on any particular class or any method. So that here your X is having two methods. One is M1 from A class and M1 from B class. So it will be in ambiguous state. Which is state? Ambiguous state. So your program will not execute because it leads to ambiguous. Your Java don't know whether to take A class M1 or B class M1. So that this is the reason why multiple inheritance is not possible in Java. Sir, generally, as we have studied that multiple inheritance is possible in Java, but by using the concept of, as you know that by using the concept of what? Interfaces. So how it is possible? So let us see how it is possible by using the concept of interfaces. Okay. So multiple inheritance, only one inheritance that is not possible in Java. That is what? Multiple inheritance. So now I have shown you that why it is not possible in Java, but now how you are going to make it possible by using the concept of interfaces. Okay. So before going to see that, you have to understand one point. You have to understand what is meant by interface. Okay. So first, I will explain about interface. Later, I will come back to your classes. If you are going to talk about any concrete class, for example, class A is there, and I am saying this one as a concrete class. The meaning of that one is, if you are going to write any method, that method should have the body in that class. So I can call this one as a concrete class or a normal class. Okay. if I am talking about abstract class, the meaning of the abstract class is nothing but what? So it can have at least one abstract method or n number of abstract methods. So I'm not talking about that abstract class. So because it's not required now. Now observe, I'm going to talk about interface. First, I will talk about interfaces. So now I'm taking interface B. In this, which type of methods can be there? Generally, abstract methods, as I don't want to tell in detail about this. So abstract methods, only abstract methods are available up to 1.7 version, but later from 1.8 version, we can have static methods, default methods, and also private methods we can have in interfaces. Okay, so observe carefully, but I don't want to discuss all these things for demonstrating this multiple inheritance. Reason, I require only abstract methods to demonstrate. Now, so in previous example, what I have shown you, I'm having interface, sorry, reference X, and I'm having two M1s here, where first M1 is printing A, another M1 is printing B. That means why X is confused here. Reason, if I call this one, the output will be A. If I call this one, the output will be B. That means there is a body. There is a body. If it calls M1, it will print A. If it is called second M1, it will print B. If there is no body, if I am giving the body only once, then there will be no problem. So don't worry. Just I will take a small example for that and I will show you. Again, I am repeating, multiple inheritance is not possible in Java by using classes. So to overcome this one, we are going for the concept of interfaces to implement the concept of multiple inheritance. How it is possible, sir? Now let us see that how it is going to be possible. Once again, I am telling, listen carefully. I am not demonstrating about these three. To demonstrate multiple inheritance, this abstract method is sufficient. So that I will explain only about abstract methods. What is abstract method? Abstract method is nothing but, or we can also demonstrate with default methods. But if I am going to explain about abstract method, you can understand easily. Okay, right. So I will talk about abstract methods. That is nothing but interfaces. So what is meant by abstract method? Abstract method is nothing but a method which is not having any body. That is, for example, if I am going to write void M1 and if I don't want to give any body for this one, just keep semicolon. If you keep in this way, what happens? If you are going to place a semicolon for any method, by default, your compiler or Java can understand that it is not having any body. So to represent that one physically, we can write it as abstract. So by seeing this, we can understand that M1 is an abstract method and it is not going to have any body. So now I am talking about interface and I am talking about abstract methods. So I will take that example. Now see, I am going to take first let us take interface. I am going to take an interface here and let us consider the name of interface is A. And in this, I will take one method name called as void high. As I'm going to demonstrate about multiple inheritance, I will make it as abstract. You may get one doubt that, sir, you told that if it is an abstract method, we have to write abstract keyword. Yes, we have to write abstract keyword, but by default, if you are going to write abstract or not, by default, your Java is going to place two keywords for every method, for every abstract method here. That is, one is public, another one is abstract. By default, these two keywords will be placed if you are not going to write the body for your method in interfaces. Otherwise, if you want to write it, you can write it. There is no problem. If you are not writing, it is going to place public abstract. If you are going to write like this, it is just placing what public. Okay, anyway. So Let us consider there is one method void high, and let us take one more method, that is interface. Sorry, one more interface, that is interface B. And here let us consider one method is there. That method name is also high. That method name is also high. So I am taking void high. So just I'm going to place semicolon. Anyway, these two are abstract methods. Now the concept is, now the concept is, I have to show you how the multiple inheritance is going to be achieved by these particular interfaces. So already you know what is meant by multiple inheritance. Multiple inheritance is nothing but acquiring the properties of multiple classes. So here what I am going to do, I am going to take, I have taken two interfaces where it is going to contain a same method named as high. Now what I will do, observe carefully, instead of extending classes, just I am going to write class C implements. I am going to write multiple interface names here. There is no problem. Just see here, I am going to take a class called as C and implements which classes A and B. The meaning of this statement is, observe now, the meaning of this statement is class C has to implement, listen carefully. Anyway, for your easy understanding purpose, I am going to take one more method here, hello. Now see, now observe carefully here. Class C implements what? A and B. That means whatever the methods, whatever the abstract methods that are present inside A and B, C has to provide the implementation. That means C has to give the body for your methods that are present in A and B. So now here, whatever C has to give, C has to give the body. Let us see how it is going to give the body. Okay, just I will take a first thing, for how many it has to give the body. Observe now, high is there, hello is there, and one more high is there. Now observe carefully. Just first uh, I am going to take hello's body. Just in this, what I will write, system dot out dot println. I am going to print hello to represent it as a hello method. Just I am printing hello. Now observe carefully here. This is the important point you have to understand. Here I am talking about interface A high method and interface B high method. So now tell me that, is there any difference between high method in interface A and high method in interface B? Don't tell that here abstract is there, here abstract is not there. By default you will get it if you are not placing it also. So for not make you too confused, I am going to place it as abstract. Now observe carefully. Here these two methods are same. So I am going to give the body for a method called as high. And in this I am going to print it as what? System.out.println. I am going to place it as high. Now your question will be, sir, why you are going to write only one high here? Here there is a high for interface A, there is a high for interface B. My answer is, the definition for this one is high and the definition for this one is also same high. What is the problem? So that means what? Because why I'm making this statement means, here is there any body for this one? Not there. Here is there any body for this one? Not there. For these both I am going to give only one body. Tell me here, I am responsible of giving the body for whom? High method. So what I am doing here, just for this eye, this is the body. For this eye also, this is the body. Now there is no problem here. That means what? For multiple inheritance, for multiple inheritance, I can implement them by using the concept of interfaces. So finally, I'm going to create what? Class main. And just I'm going to write public static void main string array args. Okay, and here just I will create a C class object again, C equal to new C, and just what I will do, x dot hello I will call, I'm going to get output as hello, and here x dot hi I'm going to write, I'm going to get output as hi. So this is an example for your multiple inheritance. So what is the difference? Why your multiple inheritance is not possible with uh, classes? Why it is possible with interfaces? Reason, in interfaces we are not going to have any body for these abstract methods. Observe now. But coming to your classes, in that case, what I have explained, just I have taken one object. This is classes. By using classes, I am going to demonstrate. So what happens here? I have taken one reference A and I have taken one method M1 and also method 1 M1. This is from A class and this is from B class, where first one is printing A and second one is printing B. So now if I call M1 x dot M1, if I consider first one, it is giving me what? A. It is printing A. If I want to print second one, that is, if I want to call second one, what is the output I'm going to get? B. But in this case, observe what is the definition of first one? This one. What is the definition of second one? This one. If the definition of both high present in A and high present in B, same implementation I have given. What is the problem? Is there multiple implementations are there for high? No, there is only one implementation is there where it is not going to lead any ambiguous. Here there is no concept of ambiguous. That means there is no confusion here. Reason only how many are there? Only one method is there. When I'm going to call x dot high, x belongs to, sorry, x is pointing to which object? C class object. I will come here and I will check for what? High method. Only one high is there. There is no confusion for me. So that I'm going to get output as what? High. So this is about the concept of multiple inheritance. Okay, right. So I have completed the concept of inheritance. Now, very important concept. And if you see any type of exam, uh, there will be a one question either from method overloading or method overriding, and it is very easy concept. Okay, so just I will demonstrate about these two concepts now. First one, method over 1 minute. Right. First one, method overloading. Okay. Right. What is meant by method overloading? So method overloading is nothing but, so observe carefully. I'm talking about methods. So first, before going to tell this one, I have to explain about what is meant by polymorphism. Okay. So polymorphism means poly, many or multiple. So morphism, ways. That means one acting in many ways can be considered as the concept of polymorphism. For example, let us consider you. That means what? You means what? Let us consider a person. I am going to consider a person. So if he is going to school, he is going to act as a what? Student. Next, if he is going to shop, he is going to act as a customer. If he is going to some other place, ground, he is going to act as a player, and so on. How many are there? Only one. Only one is there. In how many ways he is going to act? One, two, three. One in many ways. The concept is nothing but what? Polymorphism. So this is one of the principle of polymorphism. Polymorphism is one of the principle of object-oriented programming concepts. So, sir, how it is implemented in our Java? So there are two types of, observe carefully, there are two types of polymorphisms are there. One is compile time, or we can say it as a static polymorphism, or we can say it as a early binding or early polymorphism. And second one is, as it is compiled, we can say it as a runtime, sorry, okay, anyway, runtime polymorphism, and as it is early binding, We can say it as a late binding or late polymorphism. So how these are going to be implemented? Okay, how these are implemented in Java? So if you are talking about compile time polymorphism or early binding, it can be done in two concepts. One is method overloading, method overloading, and second one is which generally it will not be discussed in general, but anyway I'm going to write it, method hiding. Okay, next coming to your late binding or runtime polymorphism or dynamic polymorphism, you can say it as, okay, dynamic polymorphism. So here this is going to be implemented by using the concept of method overriding. Okay, so this is about the concept of polymorphism. This is brief introduction about your polymorphism. Now here I will discuss about what is meant by overloading, what is meant by overriding. Anyway, if you understand the concept of overloading and overriding, method hiding will be very easy. Just I am going to place a static keyword for that. Automatically the concept will be completed. Okay, right. Now I am discussing about the concept of overloading, method overloading. What is meant by overloading? First, overloading. Over. Over means what? Let us consider the I am going to take M1, M2, M1, M1, M3. Who is over here? Generally, it has to be one. So M1 is one time, M1 is two time, second time, M1 is three time. That means what? It is more than one. It is over. And what about this one? It is only once. It is also only once. That indicates what? Okay, sorry. Right. So here, that means what generally two friends maybe while discussing them don't do over. For example, small example I'm telling. One friend is telling to other friend that don't do over. That means what? That means you are behaving, you are not behaving normally. You are talking over. That means what? You are not talking normally. Normal means what? Here M1 only one time it has to be there, but it is having what? Many times. It is over. So that the concept of overloading is nothing but what? Existing more than existing. Sorry, let us existing one method name multiple times or many times where parameters are different or arguments are different. Parameters are different. This concept is called as what? Method overloading. Again, I'm repeating. Method overloading is a concept of having the same method name. Existing one, that is what I will just having same method name. Okay, having a same method name with oh, 1 minute, having same method name multiple times and parameters are different. Then the concept is called as what? Method overloading. Let us see the example here. Class A, and here I am going to take a method called as, observe carefully, void M1, and next I am going to take once again void M1, and here I am going to take one parameter of int type. Next, I am going to take one more method, void M1, and I am taking, for example, two parameters. Okay. So now observe carefully here. This is the concept of method overloading. That's it, completed concept. So why here I am saying it as a method overloading means M1 is more than one over. If it is once, it is okay. It is doing over. That means what? More than once here we are having it. So M1 which is having no parameter, M1 which is having one parameter, M1 which is having two parameters. So what I have said here, having same method name, the name is what? M1. Multiple times are the three times are there here. And parameters are different. Parameters should be different. First time, zero parameters. Second time, one parameter. Third time, how many parameters? Two parameters. Some of you may get one more doubt that, sir, let us take one more method in the same class that is nothing but double A. For example, double A is there, sir. Now observe carefully. What is the type here? Double. What is the type here? Int. That means what? Not only number, type can also be different. That means what? These four methods also can be said as what? Method overloading. So again, I'm repeating the same concept once again. That is, whenever we are going to take any method name multiple times, there is multiple times, then then multiple times, and if you are going to take different parameters for each method, that is, in our example you can see what m1 is a method which has taken three times. I'm not going to consider this, which is going to take three times, so that I can say it as a overloading. But overloading rule is what? You can take multiple times method name, but parameters should be different. If in one case, let us consider in one more method, I am taking it as a void m1 or void m1 with one parameter. Now see here, can I call these four methods as overloaded methods? No, I cannot call these four methods as overloaded methods. Reason, already m1 is there. Here also m1 is there. With which parameter? Int parameter. Here which parameter? Int parameter. Now in the same way, I am going to take one more method one, which is also which parameter? Int parameter. And it is also single parameter, one parameter. So if a class contains or in a overloading, if a method name is same and if there are same number of parameters of same type, then we are going to get a compile time error. We should not call it as a overloading. That means what? If I am calling anything as a method overloading, in that what we should have? Same method name and different number of parameters or different type of parameters we have to it has to be there. So now what I will take, just I am going to take class name here, sorry, I am going to take main method here, main class here, and just I will write what? Public static void main, as we have seen in previous programs. And just I will, what is the class name? A. So a space some x equal to new a. I'm going to create one object for this. And if I want to call these methods, how I have to call? What is the name of this one? M1. What is the name of this one? M1. What is the name of this one? M1. So what I will write? All names are M1s only. So syntax is same, but parameters will be different. Observe carefully here. To call first method here, that is to call this method, which is nothing but M1 with no parameters. Compulsory, I should not pass any parameter. Now only what happens? The call will go to M1 which is not having any parameter. Now see, I want to call second method. Then what I have to call? I have to pass one parameter which is of type int. I have to pass one parameter which is of type int. So it will call this particular method. Next, coming to last one, if I want to call this third method where it is having two parameters, just I have to pass two parameters here. Now initially it will check the name of the method, which is M1, which is M1, and here how many parameters are there? Two parameters are there. So the method call goes to this particular method. So my program is completed. If you write this small program for method overloading, you will get and you should also explain whatever I have taught now. So then it is sufficient for the concept of method overloading. Okay. So this is the concept of method overloading. Okay. Here the important points to be noted is method overloading is a concept of having same method name with different parameters or different number of parameters. Okay. Right. This is what? Method overloading. Next, coming to method overriding. Please, if you are having any doubts regarding the topic, please send a message in the chat box. Right. Now, I'm going to teach about the concept of method overriding. So before going to the, just I will give a small example to make you understand. As a faculty, I am teaching you English, for example, and I told you to write. I am telling that the spelling of color. I am teaching the spelling of color as COLOUR, for example. As a student, you are listening my classes. You are listening my classes, and I told you to write which spelling, color spelling. But I have given you this one, but you have seen somewhere that the color spelling is COLOR. But what I have written here, COLOUR, that means you think that it is wrong. You think that it is wrong, and you are going to write your own definition. You are going to write what? Your own definition. Then this concept, what you have done here? What you have done here? You have overwritten. Generally, in our English words, we will write what? Overwritten or overridden. Okay. So the same concept you can see here. Same concept. Nothing is different here. So observe carefully here. I am going to take one class, class A, and here just I will take one small example. That is what void M1. And in this, I am going to take, for example, I am going to take the M1 contains what addition. It is performing some addition, for example. M1 is performing some addition, and M2 is performing some multiplication, for example, some D equal to I into J, for example, some operations. So I have not declared all this. For syntactically, it is not correct, but as it for demonstrating the concept, it is sufficient. So now listen carefully here. Now I have taken a class A, and I have taken two methods where first method is going to perform addition of two numbers and second method is going to perform multiplication of two numbers. Now listen. Now compulsory if you are talking about method overriding, you have there should be a concept of inheritance. Reason. So now listen carefully. What is the first method name? M1. Second method name? M2. Here overriding is a concept of having the same method name, including parameters. How many parameters are there? Zero. How many parameters are there here also? Zero. So if there is a method name with same method name and same parameters, but observe carefully here. But where it has to be? One has to be in superclass, another has to be in subclass. Now, what is going to be happen? Now the thing is, I don't want this definition. I don't want the definition given by my parent. So what my parent said, M1 means I am going to perform addition, but I don't want to perform addition. I don't want to perform addition for M1. I want to perform something like multiplication. You change your definition as we have changed previously. I told you what? Color. I have overridden this and I have written my own. Okay. In the same way, here if you are not satisfied with or if you don't want to take the definition of your class A and if you want to change that, you can change it. But while changing it, please don't change the name. The name has to be same and parameters has to be same. Then only we can call this one as the concept of method overriding. Now observe carefully. This is very important point. So here you have to understand carefully because this is one of the confusing concept. Now while calling it, it will be somewhat confused. Now see, class main I am going to take here and class main I am going to take. And here what I am doing, I am going to just create two objects. For example, two objects I will create. A space x equal to new A, for example. Now observe here, x is pointing to which object? A object. That means what I will draw it here. X is pointing to A object. A contains what? M1 and A contains what? M2. Now if I call x dot M1, that means it calls what? It calls this m1 which is going to perform addition of two numbers. And next, if I write x dot m2, now what happens? It calls m2 of this a class, because x is pointing to what? A class. So that here what happens? Addition. That means c equal to a plus b will be done. And here what happens? D equal to I into j will be performed. Okay. Now listen. Here what I am doing now, this is very important point. B space y equal to new b. Now if I call y dot m1, what happens? Now see here, y I am going to write here, and overridden method will be there here, and also this m2 will be there. This m1 will be present here, and this m2 will be present here. Okay. Sir, why you are not writing this M1? Means this class B has taken this M1 and it has changed the definition. So if I ask M1 from B, it will give you this M1 only, which is nothing but C equal to A into B. So that if I call this one, it is going to execute what? A C equal to A into B. So this is the concept. So here we have to write what? Public static void main. Sorry. So public static void main, I have to write it here. And the program is completed, it will execute successfully. But please follow some syntaxes here. That's it. So this is the concept of method overriding. So what is the concept of method overriding? Means having the same method name, and same number of parameters. This concept is nothing but what? Method overriding. Okay. So any doubts? Please let me know. I will give you 1 minute time. Please let me know if you are having any doubts. Okay, right. As you have not sent me any doubts, let us start one more concept, that is exception handling. So, which will be very easy and very important. 100% you are going to get the question from this concept. So, let us see this now. So, very easy. First, let us talk about what is meant by an exception. So, remember that if there is any new word, let us take this one as exception. Okay, right. First, I will write normally exception. Sir, I don't know what is meant by exception, sir. I don't know definition. At least you know what is meant by except. Except, that means at least you know what is meant by except. Except means what? Except. Idi tappa. Okay, in Telugu you can say it what? Idi tappa. So let us see a small example here. So I am going to write C equal to 10 by 2, C equal to 10 by 3, C equal to 10 by 5, C equal to 10 by something. So in all the cases, I will get what? Output. In all these cases, at least I will get some output. But except one case, that is 0. This is exceptional case. That means what? In all these cases, I will get what? Some output I am going to get. It may be what? 5, it may be what? 3, it may be 2, or it may be anything. Some output I am going to get. But an exceptional case is there. Except this, all cases I am going to get what? Output. So that I am saying this case as what? Exceptional case. The meaning is, if any case, if some case, in this example, what you can say, if I take any denominator, I am going to get answer. Denominator, 1 minute. Okay. So in this case, if we take any denominator, I'm going to get answer except 0. If you take that 0, I'm not going to get any answer. So that I am saying that case as exceptional case. This is what an example we can consider. Next, second example. So let us consider this is summer season. As it is summer season, we know that is a summer season. Generally, will we take let us take there are 3 months or 4 months in a summer. Let us take it starts from April or March, for example, March, April, May, and June. So now consider, will you take umbrella? Will you take umbrella to your college thinking that there will be a rain today? No, generally we will not take because it is summer season. In summer season, there will be no rain. Only there will be a sun will be there, which is having high temperature, as we know that. But in some cases, like today, for example, like today in Hyderabad, we are having a rain. So we will not accept. We will not going to. Uh, it is not a general case. It is an exceptional case. So what is the general case? There will be no rain. In summer, there will be no rain. It is general case. If you are having 120 days in a summer, let us consider in 2 days only there is a rain. So these 2 days can be considered as exceptional cases. If I leave these two cases, what I'm going to get? I'm going to have 118 days of sun. Okay. So exceptional is nothing but it is a case, it is some case where there is no except those cases. In all other remaining cases you are going to get what answers. So one more last example I will tell you that you are listening a class, in your classroom. So let us consider all these are benches. So remember this situation. At any time in your class while a faculty is teaching, did your bench was broken and any of your friend fell down from your bench? No, generally no. Let us consider now your third year. Your third year, you are studying third year, for example. That means what? You have completed 2 years and you are studying third year means 2.5 years it is completed, for example. In these 2.5 hours, the situation has been not yet done at least one day, but today it has been done. Today it has been done, so that I will say that it is not going to be done daily. It is what a exceptional case. So this is nothing but what exception means. So daily, if you are going by bike to your college, will daily your bike is going to be punctured, your tire is going to be punctured? No. If it is going to be done, it is considered as what? Exceptional case. It is what a exceptional case. Okay. So here what let us, I will take a small example to demonstrate that. So let us take a small example. So what happens if an exception is going to be raised? So I am going to take class some example A. So here I am going to write public static void main. So public static void main I am going to consider, and as you know that string args is there. So string args. Now observe carefully. A small example I will take to demonstrate this exception. Right. Now see, I'm going to take int a equal to 10 and b equal to 0 I am going to take. And in next line I'm going to take int c equal to, I'm taking a by, otherwise it's better not to confuse. Just I will take directly the values, that is nothing but int c equal to 10 by 0 I am going to take. Now see this. Here, if I'm trying to perform any division operation by taking denominator as 0, in our Java, we are going to get arithmetic exception. What we are going to get? Arithmetic exception. So observe carefully here. Arithmetic exception. When we are going to get arithmetic exception? Whenever we are trying to divide any number by 0 in Java, we are going to get what? Arithmetic exception. So now what happens? So here in my example, there is no concept of exception handling. Here there is an exception. To handle the exception in Java, I am having a keywords like try catch mainly, and also sometimes we will use throws keyword for handling, and two more keywords are there, that is throw and finally. So I will explain how we are going to handle the uh, exception by using try catch and also throws, and we can see what is the usage of this throw and finally. Now the concept is here, as we are writing a small program and here there is an exception. Did I use any concept of try catch? No. There is no try catch here. Right, leave it. Next, did I use any throws keyword here? No. That means in my program, I am not going to handle any exception here. Then what happens? If you are not going to handle this situation, there is a default handler, default exception handler is there. He will handle the situation. Default exception handler is there. What he will do? What he will do means, generally whenever an exception is arised or raised in your program, whatever the type of exception it is raised, an object of that type will be created. First thing what happens, in this example we are going to get which exception? Arithmetic exception. So which object is going to be created? Arithmetic exception object is going to be created, and it will check for whether there is any handling technique or not. Generally, in our Java, handling technique is going to be written inside a catch block. So there is no concept of try, there is no concept of catch here. So what happens? Your default handler is going to handle this situation. So the way how this default exception handler is going to handle the situation means, just he is going to terminate the program. That means what? He is going to stop the program. So which termination? Terminate the program abnormally, not normally. Normal termination is nothing but what? After completing, after successful execution, if a program is terminated, we can consider that termination as normal termination. But what it is doing, wherever the exception is raised, from that point onwards, the program will be terminated. So first step is what? Your program is going to be terminated abnormally. Next, what is going to happen? After going to stop, it is going to print. It is going to print what? Exception name. What is the exception name we are having? Arithmetic exception. It is going to print fully qualified name from including the library and package also. So arithmetic exception, and it is going to print the description of the exception also. Why it is generated? Because of a division, dividing by 0. And next it is going to print stack trace. That means what? Where it is, because of which line we got it. 1 2 3 4 5. So just it will say what? At line at line 5, at line 5, a dot main, in a dot main. In this way it is going to give, and it is going to stop the program, and it is going to print this. So this is nothing but what? Name of the exception, and this is what? Description of the exception. And because of only one line here we got an exception. But if you are going to consider here, this can be considered as a stack trace. Remember this point? Stack trace. Okay, right. So if we are not going to handle the situation, your default exception handler will come into the picture, and he is going to handle the situation like he is going to terminate the program abnormally, and he is going to print what? He is going to print name of the exception, description of the exception, and a stack trace. That means what? Stack trace is nothing but what? Because of which lines the exception is going to be raised, that will be printed here. So this entire thing is going to be handled by whom? Default exception handler. But I don't want to stop my program abnormally. Remember that? I don't want to stop my program abnormally. Then what I have to do? I have to handle the situation. So if I want to handle the exception, I have to use a try catch. Sir, how to use those try catch? Listen carefully. Easy concept. So there is a block called as try. In that try block, what we are going to write means try block is going to be the statements which are going to have some exceptions. That type of code, if there is a chance of getting an exception in any code, that type of code generally it has to be written inside a try block. For example, int I am going to write a equal to 10, b equal to 0, and I am going to write c semicolon, and just I am going to write some statements here. So system dot out dot print, here I'm going to write entering into try, for example, entering into try. So to demonstrate, I'm going to write all these statements. Now see, there is a chance of, observe, there is a chance of getting an exception in this line. While dividing, there is a chance of getting arithmetic exception. So that type of lines has to be written inside a try block. Now see, I have written a try block. Which type of exception may be raised here? Arithmetic exception. So that I have to write a catch. For which exception? Arithmetic exception. So catch arithmetic exception, and I'm going to write some reference here, and you can write any handling technique here as it is an example. I don't want to write any other handling technique, just I want to print a message. So just a catch block. I want to print just a catch block. Completed. My program is completed. Now observe carefully what happens. Here, in this statement, there is no problem. Our execution is successfully completed. Coming to this, here also there is no problem. Entering into try is going to be printed out. Next, come to this statement. What is A value? 10. A value is 10 and B value is what? 0. If I perform this 10 by 0, what happens? So internally, an arithmetic exception is going to be raised. That means at this particular line, we are getting what? Arithmetic exception. So if we are going to get any exception, in this case it is arithmetic exception, what happens? An object will be created of this type. Which object now? Arithmetic exception object will be, sorry, arithmetic exception object will be created, and it will check for what? Is there any handling technique or not? Automatically, whenever there is an exception, it will come out of the try block. Here directly it will throw out of the try block. And which type of exception it is? Arithmetic exception. So it will check for what? Arithmetic exception catch, where catch with arithmetic exception. So observe here, this is which reference? This is the reference of arithmetic type only. It can hold which objects? It can hold what? Arithmetic exception objects. So that what happens? This object will be held by arithmetic exception, and it is going to print what? A catch block. So whenever there is an exception here, it will be handled by this arithmetic exception catch. Now, if there are any other statements here, all those statements will be executed. After the catch, if there are any other statements, all those statements are executed. That means what? Once if you are going to handle an exception, then remaining sequence is going to be continued. There is no problem here. Again, I'm repeating. So here let us consider here one more statement is there after try. That means what? Inside a try, after the c equal to a plus b, one more statement is there. If here the exception is right, we are going to come out of this and we are going for catch, and we will not go back here. We will not go back. Once if you are coming out of the try block, we will we will not go back to the try block once again. So what happens then? I will come out of the try block, I will execute the catch block, and after the catch block, if there are any statements, I will execute all those statements. That's it. So this is the concept of what? Try and catch. I have shown you a small example how to handle the exception by using a try catch. Now next case, I will talk about finally. So what is meant by finally? For example, so let us take a small example. So let us consider we are going to college, and we are having a classroom. In that classroom, generally what happens? I will tell that. So students will come into the classroom, students are there, and also faculty will be there. Faculty and students are there. So now observe carefully. So faculty is going to teach and students are going to listen that, and the class is completed. And the class is completed. Finally, what is going to be done? Finally, fans and lights has to be switched off. Fans and lights has to be switched off. Okay, right. When this has to be done? After completing the class, faculty and students, faculty has taught for 1 hour and students has listened that class. After that, finally, what is going to be done? Fans and lights has to be switched off. First case is completed, successful. Class is completed. Second case. Now, while faculty is teaching a class, one student is talking. Student is talking. Student is talking. So, what faculty has done there? Faculty has handled him. That means what, he has given some punishment. Faculty given punishment. That means what, he is handled. He is handled. Remaining class was successfully completed. Again, finally, what happens? Again, fans and lights has to be switched off. Next case, third case. While students and faculty is teaching and students are listening, again student is talking. Student is talking, but now faculty has not handled. Faculty has not handled. Faculty not handled. Now what happens? Your class will not continue successfully because of disturbance. So that what happens in this case also? Finally, what has to be done? Fans and light has to be switched off. Finally, see here, in this case, what happens? There is no exception. In this case, what happens? There is an exception and handled. And in this case, what happens? There is an exception and not handled. Okay. So, and one more case, if you speak that exception is there and not handled. And in this case, there is no, okay, no exception and no exception, no, not handled. Okay. No exception and not handled, for example. So now any case, if you take any case, finally what you are going to do? You are going to switch off the fans and switch off the lights. That means what? In some cases, in your program also, some compulsory activities has to be done. That those are, for example, resource deallocation or memory deallocation or file closing. Some mandatory activities has to be done compulsorily, whether your program is going to be terminated normally or abnormally. Anyway, some task has to be done. If your program is going to be terminated abnormally, what happens? Remaining statements are not going to execute. But in any of the case, if you want to execute some statements like these, those statements has to be written inside a finally block. How we have to write? So class A, and here we are going, I'm taking a small program so that entire code will be written inside a one class only. Public static void main, and here I'm going to take string args. Right now, observe carefully. So as I said, you file opening. So if let us consider, I'm going to take try, and I'm opening here. I'm not going to read syntax. File opening has been done here, for example. After this, some statements are there, and here there is an exception. Here there is an exception. For example, after exception, after some lines, file closing statement is there. For example, okay. Now here catch is there, and here handling except some exception handling is there and completed. Now observe carefully. Now file is opened here, and few statements are executed and exception is raised here. What happens? Whenever exception is raised, we will come out of the try block and that exception will be handled and remaining code will be executed here. What happens? After catch, remaining code will be executed. What about these statements? Already I told you in previous example that once if you are coming out of the try block, we will not go back to try block. Okay, so that this closing activity will not be done. That means if you are going to write some statement which has to be executed compulsorily, If you place that statement inside A, if you place that statement inside A, where inside a try block, then what happens? There is no guarantee of executing that. Okay. So let us take, okay, this is first case. Second case. Let us go for second case. Now, I am not going to take this file closing here. I am not going to take this file closing here. I am taking that file closing in catch. In catch. Now observe, let us consider there is no exception in my try block. There is no exception in my try block. Then what happens? If there is no exception in my try block, will I go to catch? No, I will not go to catch. Then what happens? I will not go to catch. Then what happens? This file closing is not going to be executed. That means what? There is no guarantee of executing all these statements of try block and also catch block. Then what has to be done? Then these type of statements, where we have tried these type of statements, means I will write these type of statements inside a separate block called as a finally. Where? Finally. So now I am going to write here finally block, and inside finally I am going to write what? File closing statements. Completed. Now see, if there is an exception, if it is handled, it will execute finally. If there is no exception, directly it will come to final and it will execute this one. If there is an exception, if I am not going to handle also, which block will be executed? Finally block is going to be executed. So this, in this way I am going to if I am going to execute my statements which has to be compulsorily executed. I am going to write those statements inside what? Where? Finally. So remember this point. This is about finally. So remaining two keywords are there. One is throw. What is that? Throw keyword. I am talking about a throw. So class A, same concept, public static void main and so on. Now observe carefully. I am not going to have any exception in my program. Just I want to raise an exception manually. So see, observe now, just I have to use a throw keyword and I have to write whatever the exception you want to raise. So now in this case, which exception I have raised? Arithmetic exception. And whatever the, that is what description you want to write, you can write it here. I want to write my exception, for example. So now what happens? So you are going to raise an exception manually. So remember one point, that either you are going to raise an exception manually, or or the exception is going to be raised by default in your program. We have to handle that. What we have to do? We have to handle that by writing a try and catch. If you are not going to write try and catch, then what happens? Your program is going to be terminated abnormally. So this is the usage of what? Throw. Throw is a keyword where we can throw an exception manually, as shown in the example. Next one, last one, throws. So throws is also a keyword, generally where it is going to be written. For example, I am taking one method, and beside this I can specify the exceptions which I am not handling in my method. That is, for example, I am going to write IO exception. Which exception? IO exception. So in my program, if there is any IO exception, if there is any IO exception, it will be sent to, it will be thrown to, it will be thrown to caller. That means what? Who called this M1? For example, from public static void main, from public static void main, I am going to call this method. Okay, which method? M1. So let us think M1 is going to be called from here. So what happens? Whenever there is an exception in M1, your M1 will not handle that. Just is going to use a throws keyword, so that this exception is delegate from here to caller. That means The main purpose of this throws is to specify an exception, or we can say that to delegate the exception from one method to another method. So this is about exception handling. So in next session we will continue with other topics. Okay. If you are having any doubts, you can just send me in the chat box. Okay. Right. So if you are not having any doubts, okay, I am going to end the session. Thank you.